see how this goes. All right, mic check 1 2. Yes, we are live. Hi, good evening, and welcome to Live with Rhea, your Sunday evening dose of awesome. And I'm here a week away from field day, and I really appreciate all you guys joining tonight. I know you have choices, but I'm glad you chose this one. Let's see here. So I just want to acknowledge, all you guys have been basically with me through this, and I have a new computer, so I don't have hopefully none of that nonsense that I had previously with things crashing. Even though I'm still going to stream from my hardware ATEM streamer, but I have a little more flexibility now. So perfect, good stuff. And thermos full of water. Unfortunately, no gin. I just got water. Hi Pamela, you joined early from Massachusetts. I hope you're gonna see me at New England Ham Convention. Rather, it's the New England and Hudson Division Ham Exposition. This shirt here is from the SSB Sprint. We had the sprint contest a few years ago, and then they decided to give shirts to random people. I won a shirt, and they took 2 years to send it to me. But you know what? I was appreciative because they sent it to me for free. And I'm always proud to fly the flag. I hope I could participate in the SSB Sprint. The sprint contests are awesome. So, hopefully we could do more of it. Yeah, so tonight what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about Field Day. Field Day is coming rapidly. And Field Day this year is going to be a little different for a number of reasons. Number one, we don't have that stupid virus. We still have the virus, okay? We just don't have it being an overwhelming factor in people's lives. Look, if you went to Dayton Hamvention, a lot of people tested positive. Some people felt sick for days. I was among positive people. I didn't get it. And you know what? I think either I got lucky or something's working. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it now. I'm really hoping that we could move past it and we could have field day. However, still being cautious, not really keeping too much distance, but not throwing caution into wind. But anyway, so there are clubs that are participating and doing stuff, and I'm going to show you some from the photo album last year. Oh, not last year, in 2019, when we had a full field day. So some of what you can expect. But the really interesting thing is that because of the restrictions we've had, a lot of clubs ended up changing their venue. And 12 feet. Yeah. A lot of clubs now are changing their venue because either they got kicked out or they might have found something better. And I found that it's going to be a little variable. So some of the rules have also changed, and some of the changes have kind of stayed with us. And that could be good or bad. Some people might try to say, well, it's just not the same. Yeah. And field day, and Red has a very important point here. Field day for many people is their basically moment of enlightenment, that they're on-ramp into amateur radio. I bet you don't know this. Any of you know Dr. Nathaniel Frizzell? I'm sure you do. I'm sure Jason, Ham Radio 2.0, knows Dr. Frizzell because he goes to his Hamside conference often. Guess where Nathaniel learned about ham radio? He learned about it at Field Day, and Field Day right in northern New Jersey by my good friend and retired Marine, N2BSA, Greg Nitkowski from NJDXA. So he actually went to Field Day, and Greg kind of introduced him. And Greg also does a lot of GOTA and Boy Scout stuff, and I don't know if he does any with scout troops that have girls in them. I know he does with Boy Scouts, but he actually does a lot of radio stuff for Scouts, and Nathaniel was one of them. So that's really, really good. Yeah, and Frank says it got you on HF. Yep, it got a lot of people on HF. It got a lot of people on ham radio. It didn't really get me into ham radio, but it got me, it got me interested in HF. I actually got it with a lot of clubs and such. So, yeah, I got some of the home tests. I don't trust the home tests. I go and I take a PCR. So, but I mean, I had no symptoms really, so I'm like, but I did test, and it came back negative. At this point, I'm not really gonna bother too much. But anyway, all right. So let's dive into it. So I'm gonna bring it up here, and I'm gonna do a picture-in-picture, and hopefully this should thing. I'm actually gonna use my phone to browse here, and we're going to do field day. So ARRL. Let me just see if I could close off all these tabs and incriminating evidence. Whoops. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research because I'm working on a little project here. Concerns one of these electrical manufacturers had a big recall on one of their home electrical panels. If you have square D equipment, you could made between 2017 and 2022, you might have some problems. The square D QO with the plug-on neutrals. Yeah, I kind of do some of that stuff on the side, so and I do some consulting for renewable energy, solar power. I love solar power, and we're going to talk a little bit about solar power for this field day too, because you want to know something. One of the section managers emailed his section, and he basically said he's not going to go around to field day sites because the price of gas. And I don't really blame him. And he has like he has a like one of these vehicles that requires premium gasoline. Okay, I think it's an Audi or something. But he says it's going to cost him almost $6 a gallon to go around to field day sites. So he's not really going to. Homie, don't play that. Right. Me, I might go to a few of them. Mostly clubs that have invited me. I got invited to a lot of clubs. I get invited to a lot of clubs, and it's kind of interesting because I get to hang out and see what they do. One of them, Tri-County Radio Association, is actually going to have a full MCOM trailer, MCOM vehicle from their EOC in Union County, New Jersey. And it's going to be quite, they say they're actually going to take 911 calls. So, they're kind of in the whole MCOM thing. For me, field day is partially about MCOM, emergency communications, but for me, field day is about fun. It's about amateur radio's open house. It's also about STEM. And this is something, a lot of people get lost in the MCOM stuff. MCOM is very important for ham radio, but emergency communications, for those who don't know what MCOM is. But STEM education is important too, and it's always a good thing when you could do things like make contact with satellites. Okay, so let's dive in here. Hopefully this will work, and I could do this here, right? And I do this here. Whoops, what's going on? Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. What? Come on. Oh no. All right. Hold on a second. Off. Okay. On. Uh-oh. Well, okay, this is weird. I know, it's really weird. I don't know what's causing that. But let's see here. Okay, let me see if I could bring it back in. Crazy. Must be related to my downstream key error. And yeah, let me see if I can bring up the software control here. Let's see here. I just literally set this up with my new computer, and it's kind of palettes, downstream key. Anyway, I'll just talk and you'll listen to me. Okay. So after taking a few detours over the past couple of years, field day rules are being updated on a permanent basis. So starting this year, the maximum output for a transmitter, they're going to limit it to 100 watts. Okay, so basically now you can't run anything higher than 100 watts, which is a pretty big deal. But it's a big deal for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's really not a big deal for, it's really not a big deal for a lot of people who actually operate in a field, because 100 watts is pretty much the power they've been accustomed to using, and it really is, it's where they said, well, there are so few people using amplifiers. And then this is going to tie into this other rule. Okay? So, yeah, build better antennas, right? Make antennas great again. Okay? Yes, I'll talk about FT4 and FT8. Okay? FT4, spoiler alert, FT4 and FT8 are still part of Field A. So, they will have, they'll have 100 watts. So this is two things, okay? First of all, the field day, my computer used to have problems with OBS, so I just literally set up this thing back again with the computer, and I have to configure downstream keyers and all sorts of stuff. But the power limits, it used to be 100 watts for it used to be 150 watts for low power, right? And then they changed the low power amount to 100 watts. So they reduced it from 150 to 100. And this is a general change across ARRL rules, right? So ARRL contest rules in general have low power as 100 watts, not 150 anymore, 100 watts, okay? The reason for that is it used to be 150 because historically you had older radios that used tubes that would be able to, that typically were 150 watts output. And that kind of, this got updated with the times, where now most people are using solid state radios, and they decided to reduce it to 100 watts. Some people complain and said, well, it's kind of like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, some people ask for it to be fixed, but the 100-watt rule is now the rule. And in Field A, they decided that because, and this is the next thing that we're going to talk about, because you're allowing home stations to contact other home stations for points, they're going to basically lower the power limits. So none of these big stations with amplifiers like mine at home, okay, could just get on Field A and just crush everybody else, right? So it's 100 watts, and in Field A, in Field A you're operating with generators and batteries and limited power supplies. I actually have batteries powering my home. I have a home battery system that I use, and I have it powering my amplifier at times, but during the day I recharge with solar. So, and it's made by EcoFlow, by the way. There's a lot of good things going on with EcoFlow. Some I can't tell you about yet, but exciting stuff. But when you run your amplifier, you drain the batteries pretty fast. Okay, so the amplifier, my amplifier typically, even though it's 1500 watts out, you'll draw like 2200 watts, 2400 watts to produce that 1500, because it's not 100% efficient. And then in the field, you definitely want to not have to drain down your batteries or use extra fuel in your generator, fuel which is costing you $4 or $5 a gallon now. Okay, and God forbid diesel fuel, $6. I don't know where that's coming from, but $6 a gallon, and no. So anyway, what they talk about, my colleague in ARRL, Mike Ritz, W7VO, who is the head of the Programs and Services Committee, he basically worked with the Contest Advisory Committee to come up with these rule changes. So Class D home stations will continue to be able to earn points for contacts with other Class D stations. And then you're going to have club aggregate. Mark, you must be in California. Are you? I don't know. But Yeah, so the aggregate scoring plan, the scores of individual stations are combined under the single score of a single club. And okay, so that's the operational rules. So Rule 7.3.2, media publicity, has been modified. So they used to offer 100 bonus points for attempting to obtain publicity and demonstrating the same, okay? With the ease of posting via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and various other media websites like YouTube, field day participants will now be required to obtain publicity, not just try to do so. So you have to get something published now, okay? You have to get something published. So, and that actually is not too hard, believe it or not. You could go and ask like local newspapers and such, and if you still have them. Ours got bought out by Gannett, unfortunately, so, but, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the generator. So the generator, I'll tell you what the generator thing is, okay? I'll touch on the generator thing. But, yeah, so, just updating the publicity. Go talk to a local journalist, talk to a local radio station, or something, and tell them tell them you're doing an emergency communications exercise, and tell them that you're, you will be operating amateur radio, and put a small news release, right? And a lot of these people will snap it up. They like human interest stories, okay? So, any amount of bona fide media will qualify for the bonus points. So, for example, posting the details of your upcoming or ongoing field day activity, field day results on a club. On a club or news media site on Facebook or via Twitter and Instagram would meet the bonus criteria. So, yeah, photos and videos. So actually, you could even publish this on your own social media. So you go on Twitter, you go on the club's social media website, live stream it to YouTube, and I'll help you. And then you'll have, you'll be able to have this bonus. So those are the highlights of the changes, right? I mean, there have been a few changes, but let's go over the full rules, and I'll tell you some of the pertinent things here. So the full rules. So field days, amateur radio's open house, and every day 40,000 hams throughout North America set up temporary transmitting stations, right? The ARRL has a nice printable flyer that I'll show you, okay? And you could use this for field day. So you go here, and what is field day? It's the single most popular on-air event held annually in the US and Canada. So this field day is only US and Canada, even though some other countries might take part, but it's focused on US and Canada. Europe has their own field day, and other countries have their own field day. So field day is a picnic, it's a camp out, it's practice for emergencies, and an informal contest. So you know how people like to say field day is not a contest? That's not true. Okay, field day is partially a contest. It's not what I would call a very serious contest, right? But it is an informal contest where people get on and they talk about stuff. And they exchange points, and then, but they might talk a little bit, but they exchange contacts for points, and there are there's no trophies or certificates or anything, but you do get results listed in QST and online. So it's a time when many aspects come to highlight our many roles. Some treat it as a contest, some use it to practice emergency response. Like I mentioned, my friends at Tri-County Radio Association, they're having that. I'll show you that in a minute, okay? And then they explain what is ARRL, what is ham radio. So they're doing a lot of great things here. Let's see here, Tri-County Radio Association, right? TCRA. Actually, my friend Paul Beener, who is the president of TCRA, he has that. Okay, and I'll show you here. All right, so this is gonna come up kind of weird because it's portrait, but yeah. So basically, TCRA will conduct its annual field day at the Loop area of Watchung Reservation in Mountainside, New Jersey, and then they'll partner with Trinitas Regional Medical Center. So Trinitas is a hospital. They're part of St. Barnabas. right? And they actually use ham radio for their emergency communications. Of course, they also have ties with the Union County Office of Emergency Management, and they're going to be bringing this big honking thing, this truck, okay? The Union County Public Safety Command Post, and there's one other club that I know that actually has a government-funded vehicle over here that they use for like the town and everything pays for it. That's Westchester Emergency Communications Association, WECA, and they get a RACES, they get a truck, a full truck with a pneumatic mast and everything from the town of Mamaroneck, New York, and they put on a pretty big field day, and they have top tier operators too. They have Adrian KO8SCA. Adrian is a Adrian, right? Adrian is a guy who travels all over the world to the expeditions. He's young. He's also one of the operators at 4U1UN. He helped revitalize the station, and so they bring Adrian there to field day, and he operates CW. They have a few others as well, So it looks like a snack truck. Oh my God. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it looks like a canteen, right? But anyway, so Sean brought out a good point. It's 4-4-1 to not use generators this year. We know ours work. What's the point of spending $100 or more? Listen noise for 24 hours. Well, yeah. So, I'm not in that situation as you are, because I use batteries as my emergency power. But here's the thing: if you're operating from an EOC, from a government or a hospital EOC, for example, and you're using emergency power, right? You do not have to run your entire field day operation on emergency power, right? What you can do is test the emergency power or verify that it's there. I think that's in the rules. I have to verify. But you do not have to run on emergency power, because they don't want to impose that, because you're burning fuel, and fuel is not cheap these days, right? And the generators, they run for a certain amount of hours before you have to change the oil and all that stuff. They don't want to force that. If you're running Class E at home, yes, you do have to run your emergency power. But you want to know something? I tell people, generator is not the only type of emergency power you have. You could get some lithium iron phosphate batteries. You could get some portable solar panels. These are all over the place now, okay? They have lithium iron phosphate batteries. You have portable solar panels. You have the small MPPT charge controllers. You could set up on solar. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And the ARRL actually offers you a bonus if you operate QRP and you operate with solar. So, even more incentive. Let's see here. Paul Blizzard, how you doing, buddy? Long time no hear. I got to get on and talk to you guys. Yeah, Paul. So Paul here is Paul here is interesting. I rag chew with them a lot. Him and Golf Zero Whiskey Lima Golf and Golf Zero EVY from England. They're in central England. And Paul has the same birthday as me, September 15th. So that's interesting. All right. So what else is on field day? Let's talk a little bit more about the rules here. So you could operate. This one misconception is that if you operate from home with a tent in your yard, that you're Class B or Class A. That's not true, because you're still at home. Okay, so you're technically Class E, right? Which is home emergency power. Now, you can also do a mobile if you have radios that can be operated while the vehicle is in motion. Yes, you can operate as a mobile. Okay. When I visit field day sites, I usually put a radio in a car and I drive around, and I sub in a small log as a Class C. Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. Bluetti, you can use Bluetti. I'm on Team EcoFlow, so Hobotech doesn't like that I talk about EcoFlow, and Hobotech's a Bluetti guy. But anyway, yeah, I have a bunch of EcoFlow solar generators, and I use them. So, but yeah, no, that concept is good. Like I said, now you have all of these portable little units with power, so you don't really need to use a gas generator because you're not paying for fuel and you don't have that noise and such like that. So let me show you all some photos from from 2019, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see here, what we're doing. Okay, so in 2019, oh, I have the hot dogs on the grill here. Okay, and I actually started off. I'll show you some of my field day pictures here. Central Park. Okay. Right. So a good thing for getting your field day site in gear is to have a big sign that says emergency radio drill, right? And this is not a drill that you drill things with, you know what I mean, okay? Okay. Yeah, mobile is 1C, correct. And these guys, they set up these loud, noisy generators out there. This is in a park near work in Whippany. They have nice chairs and such. And they get their town to sponsor a trailer. So a lot of these organizations, they're actually able to get their towns, they're able to get their local municipalities to sponsor equipment for them. And when they sponsor it, it gets maintained and everything. So quiet, they have here, they're using flex radios, right? And they're using FT8. So the thing is, FT8 is allowed for ARL field day, okay? FT8 is allowed, and FT4 is allowed. This is why I said it's partially a contest, because I don't think you're going to use FT8 and FT4 to pass emergency traffic, right? But you're going to use it for a contest. Winter Field Day, which is a separate event, which is not unofficially field day like, the historic field day. It's a separate event that's put on by a separate set of folks. They call it Winter Field Day. They want to have a set of rules that say this is more of an emergency exercise. So what they do is they prohibit FT8 and FT4 in Winter Field Day, and they actually will allow you to use JS8 Call, which is a messaging application based on the FT8 protocols. Harvey must be loud, huh? Yeah. Okay, T-Ray, you're a hoot. You're funny. But anyway, all right. So yeah, quiet here, and these guys were really well organized. I really like what they were doing. Okay, so this is the Morris Radio Club in Morris County, New Jersey. And here you could see them operating. Let me see if I could bring up the sound here. And they were operating. But yeah, okay. Sound. And they're operating FT8 there. Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. They're using the flex radios. We move along here. They had a Flex 6700, I believe it was, a 6500. What was it? 6500. Okay. Yeah, they had a 6500. And, they had a lot of good stuff. So, next stop, I went to Tri-County. And Tri-County had theirs on the Watchung Reservation as well as they did last year. But they had, what was it? Yeah, they have a grill. They have a good grill. They always feed you. One thing I always notice is every time I go to field day, everybody wants to feed you and from their grill. Pretty interesting. Here, they actually have a different setup this year. They actually got a new trailer. Tri-County got a new trailer this year, you see. And they use that, but they use that for storage. They don't use that for operating, right? So they store all their field day. And this one's actually owned by the club. It's not owned by the local government. So, clubs as well are doing that. Yeah, GML. So, solar panels, I trust like SunPower, EcoFlow. I have the EcoFlow bifacial panels, and I have the EcoFlow 160 watt and the 400 watt. They produce more than their rated output, but they're not rollable like the Power Film Solar. So, yeah, they're good. Yeah. So after there, I went to a bunch of sites in New York, and I saw you see some interesting stuff. So clubs sometimes they put up big antennas. They like this one. They had a beam, okay, and this was in Yonkers. So this was Yonkers Amateur Radio Club, and Yonkers had they put up a beam there, and then they have a couple. They have Gill there and KF2FK, and then you have they have like what is that, a Panasonic Toughbook it looks like, but they set up there. They set up in a park, and they had like a picnic style there. Yeah, yeah. Although Joe, I did actually, in some cases I'm actually able to get zero grid authorization. You just have to do it in advance though, and have the airport manager sign off on it. You do it via Drone Zone, but yeah. So yeah, they had a bunch of stuff here, and one thing useful in field day, you got to get. Well, Richard, nice to see you tonight. Catch us on Team Replay, okay? And yeah, the flex solar panels. So the EcoFlow actually, their portable solar panels are kind of semi-flex, but they're like fiberglass, and they have a rugged coating. So, right. So the field day exchange is your ARRL section, and that's usually a state, except in states like New Jersey, and you have you then put your category, which could be it's a number of transmitters and then a letter. So for example, if you're at home, you'll probably be, I believe, 1 Bravo or something. No, one Delta for home, okay, or 1 Echo if you're on an emergency power. So yeah, okay, all right. So yeah, and when you have newbies and other people operating, so field day is a great time for new people to operate. You might want to print out on a big sign the exchange, right? And like this one, they says here KF2FK 3 Alpha Eastern New York, and I believe this was the GOTA station. So there's another station where you could have like new people get on the air, and they have to use another call sign though. That's in the rules, okay? Field day takes a lot of planning, by the way, right? A lot of clubs plan this a whole year in advance, right? Which is kind of interesting for an emergency exercises. So let's see here. So WECA, okay? I'll show you WECA in a distance here. WECA always puts on a magnificent field day. And like I said, here you see they have the Racy's truck, right? And they set up in Mamaroneck in a park there. And they have a tower trailer, and then they have the truck with a pneumatic mast. So this is almost like operating from home, right? Your antennas are that effective. And they had a big Generac generator and for power. And this is the inside of their truck. You have Glenn N2CJ, he's in there. And you see they have all sorts of positions there. They have they're running the software. I believe that is N3FJP. And they're using Elecraft gear. So interesting. And then they have another station outside below the tents. Yeah, Josh, that I don't know if that's millions. It probably is, to be honest, but it's quite some coin, because the government pays for the vehicle, and of course that has a function of being an emergency communications vehicle. So it's not just for field day, okay. So this was another club I went to, Peekskill, Cortland, and this was just about sunset, and they were there. See, and they had a small trailer. So some clubs, they have like a small trailer, and they set up antenna. This one was a 6-meter beam. It looks deceiving because if you look at it, you might think it's a big HF beam that's like, you know, far away in the distance. No, this is a small 6-meter beam. One nice thing about field day is that field day is in the summer where you have the peak of 6-meter propagation. You can actually get a lot of contacts on 6. And the good thing about contacts on 6 is if you are a technician, you can make good use of your license privileges, okay? There'll be a lot of stations on 6, right? Okay, they have a few others here. This one I went to. Now I want to show you another one here. Nighttime operation is a thing. Some of these operators, they operate through the night, and you know, you have a good night owl operator who is there. Yes, the VHF station, that's a good point, Joe. The VHF station is a freebie. Okay? Yeah. So you have a nighttime operator here, and he is just there overnight, you know, making the contacts. Especially if he's on CW or she is on CW, you can have that person banging away at night, and yeah. So you know, I took some photos here. Oh man. Anyway, and one, this is QSY Society. This is one of my favorite clubs. Okay, QSY Society. They rented out a park here. And this is nuts because this guy, Adam, AE2AN, he brought, so this is their antennas and such, right? And they're showing me stuff here. He brought this big, is this a smoker or something? Okay. Yeah, the satellite station, you make one contact on a satellite and that will get you some bonus points. But I want to show you, the guy brought a fridge in this trailer. Okay. Well, that's nuts. He brought a big stove too. Okay. They have the GOTA station. They had this lady here doing the GOTA station, and she was there. And they have the antennas and such. I think, yeah, okay. Let me see if I could get some sound for this one. Yeah, he was there. You know. Thank you for Ham Radio Now. Thank you. Always appreciate it. Yeah, so this was in Bowdoin County Park in Eastern New York. They were operating, you know, probably, I don't know, I guess 3 Alpha or something. But this was QSY Society. They had a number of different things. Okay, so Overlook Mountain. Overlook Mountain actually went the route of having a tent. And they had like one of these big pop-up tents. And they have radios in a case, you know. A lot of clubs, they actually have like Go kits and such like that they use, right? And this one was pretty neat. These guys use solar panels, right? So they got a little bonus. You know, it's so much better than using noisy generators, you know. And you don't have the fumes, and you don't have to buy fuel and everything. But of course, you know, if you need a lot of power, you probably need a generator. Yeah, and this one here, oh, this one was fun. This one, they actually had like satellites and stuff like that. So here you have, this is the Rip Van Winkle Amateur Radio Society, right? Yes, Glade, yes, actually, yes, Shack in a Box. Yeah, Shack in a Box, interestingly enough, James Leah is, you know, he defied the odds, and the kids are back making stuff, I guess. But anyway, this is they have the beam, and then they have satellite antennas, so they make a satellite contact, right? And they have lots of information here. Rip Van Winkle, and they have like little tents, you know. If you notice, a lot of these tents are screened because of mosquitoes and such like that. You don't want to be bitten up by mosquitoes. Let's see here. Yep, more of them. And you notice they have the porta potties behind there. In a real emergency, will you be able to have porta potties? If you make contacts in the wood, does the bear make a sound? I don't know. Yeah. These, I'm sure people know these solar panels. These are Harbor Freight solar panels. I'm not a big fan of these, you know. Right. So you notice this one says open house, amateur radio field day, public welcome. You do get bonus points for being in a public place. Okay. Okay. Let me see what else is here. Oh yeah, yeah. So this one is in East Greenbush. Okay, East Greenbush is near Albany, New York, and these guys were in a. I believe this is either a senior center or a Masonic lodge or something like that. I'm not sure, but these guys were clearly in an indoor building, and they have the all these books and such like that. They're showing people, and W2EGB is their call sign, right? And they had the L-craft radios there, and outside they have antennas, wire antennas. So you see all these clubs with big beams and such like that. You don't need a big beam for field day. You could just use wire antennas. This one actually here is, I think, is one of the final stops I made. This one is the Albany Amateur Radio Association, right? And they operated outside in a park, and they were using L-craft radios, and they have a whole switching matrix for their antennas there, and more solar panels. Although these people put them in the shade, and if I had a choice, I would take them out in the shade. But it is what it is. That looks like a generator. Is that a generator? Probably is. Maybe it looks like an old light plant or something. Right. So that's the Field Day album. Smoky Mountain Radio Amateur Club, huh? That's nice. Good. Any bonus? No. Any bonus points for wearing yellow safety vest? No. You do get bonus points for a safety officer. So also new this year, and I have a whole video on how to do this, is the RF exposure evaluation. It's not really new, but this year, it's not really new. If you have a safety officer, this year, since the rules have changed, radio amateurs are no longer categorically exempted from having to do an RF exposure evaluation, right? What you have to do now is, if you are, let's say, if you are operating somewhere, and mobile and portable are no longer exempt. If you're operating somewhere, just run the calculator, look at my video, I show you exactly how to do it. Run the calculator, print the results, keep it in a file. This way you show good amateur practice. And this way, if somebody complains that how you operating radio is giving them some weird medical condition, you could go back and refer to said, well, I did the RF exposure evaluation, I'm complying with the FCC rules. That's not going to be a get out of jail free card, but it is going to be, good faith and showing that you operate within the rules. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. For doing the safety dance. Yeah. Yeah. Josh Vader. I have. I tell you, I have some 100-watt panels. They're great for charging phones, but they're great for charging a lot of things. I have a little 12-volt refrigerator I run on a 100-watt solar panel too. That works real well. Okay, let's see here. Nice to know. Freezers, hope we get to lose power. Yeah. So like the EcoFlow units and the other solar generators, they're actually, they actually work really well. So let's go back to the rules here, and I'm going to run through a little bit more of some of the more unique things. So just bear with me here. So they say Field Day is open to all amateurs. T-Ray, look, you are a superstar. Thank you. And I must highlight this because I got my comments highlights back. But it came up in white. Thank you very much, T-Ray. Awesome stuff. All right. So, the object is to use as many HF bands, 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10. I don't hear much people on 160 meters, which is kind of, sad, but it's expected because field days in the summer, and setting up a 160 antenna is not trivial, okay? They have the field day dates, and this is a point of confusion for some people. It's not the last full weekend in June. It is the fourth full weekend, okay? The fourth full weekend, right? And it starts at It starts at 1800 UTC on Saturday and ends at 2059 UTC on Sunday, right? So this year is the 25th to 26th. Bands and modes, you 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10, as well as anything VHF and above, right? And any mode that supports the exchange is allowed. So this means yes, even FT8, okay? Anyone that supports the exchange. I mean, you know, so it goes, right? The result submission deadline, you must have it, they give you a month, July 26th, so you can't do a late entry. And you have a website to check, okay? They have a whole packet where you could submit all your bonus points and such like that. And, you know, they have a whole informational PDF that you could assemble everything to go, right? The terms of entry, okay, so they generally say that you have to abide by the contest rules. Let's see here, contact information, that's not, you have a phone number you could call ARRL. You could also email them, fdinfo@arrl.org, tell them I sent you. Awards. So field day is not a contest. They keep going back and forth, okay? Field day is not a contest, so you don't have to submit a log, right? You probably can submit a log, but you don't submit a log. What you do is you submit a summary sheet, okay? You submit the dupe sheets. So back in the early days of contesting, there were dupe sheets where you put all the call signs you work in a matrix, right? You put the prefix and suffix in a matrix, and then you check to see if you work them in duplicate. Now, these days, contest software actually generates that electronically, okay? So rules, entry forms, and information packet. You can download the field day packet, right? Yes, it's not a contest, but it is a contest, okay? Oh man, okay. They have the field day fact, they have aggregate club scoring, GOTA fact. Okay, let's see GOTA, what they're talking about GOTA. So the GOTA station is a critical part of every field day, right? It's an opportunity for technician or novices, more so technicians, because there are not that many novices, newly licensed amateurs, other generally inactive licensees, and unlicensed persons to experience firsthand the fun of amateur radio. So they're getting on the air. So this is basically, you know, like a honeypot, okay? You can have one station, right? You can have on any of the bands. You can go to, you know, you can use any frequencies. So, but you must have it within your control operator privilege. So if you are a general, you can only operate in the general band, right? Even if the control operator for the whole other field day operations an extra, if you are a general, you have to stick in the general bands, right? This is why you should try to upgrade to extra, or, you know, have somebody who's an extra operate your GOTA station. This way you could operate anywhere, okay? The modes, any modes, and may a non-licensed person operate. So this is an important, hey, thank you, spammers. And now get the out of here, okay? Let's see here. Remove, hide user, okay. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, right. Sorry for the spam, guys. But anyway, yeah, so may a non-licensed person operate the GOTA station. So this is an important, and I'm not a lawyer, an important legal distinction. An unlicensed person may never be a control operator of a station, okay? So they don't operate, right? They can participate, they can speak the microphone, they can send Morse code, they can tune, they could push the PTT, but the control operator has to be there, and you can definitely have the person do all the things, but the control operator, in the eyes of the FCC, and this is in a technician pool, is the one that is legally responsible, okay? So the control operator operates. What the ever living God, okay. All right, hold on. Yeah. Okay. Right. And okay. Okay. Wow, crazy. How do I get rid of these guys? You know? Anyway. Yeah, so yeah, I know, right? Spam. They should give me at least, gosh, at least they should at least give me a super chat. I have, you know what? I have mods. They're in bed right now. But but anyway, yeah. I'm glad I didn't see this. Yeah, I'll probably appoint some mods. Who wants to be a mod? Maybe I'll appoint Joe. Let's see here. Joe, you're it. Lawnmower. You know what? Lawnmower, you want to be a mod? Anyway. So anyway, who may operate the GOTA station? So like I said, you know, it's an important legal distinction that the okay, your wish is my command, my friend. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, what call sign does the GOTA station use? So the GOTA station must use a different call sign. So for example, if your club is W2XYZ, okay, or KA0XTT, to use a fictional call sign, and then you have N2RJ on the GOTA station, right? You cannot have KA0XTT on a GOTA station. You can have somebody else with their own call sign, right? So yeah, you know, lawnmower, that might work too, you know, but I don't know, I think they're gone now. But anyway, what field exchange does the GOTA station send? So the GOTA station must send the same exchange as the parent. So for example, if you are a 3 alpha, right? If you're a 3 alpha or you know, or 1 delta, or maybe a 1 echo or something, I think though that the GOTA station is only restricted to certain classes. If you're a 3 alpha, you have to send 3 alpha as the GOTA station. So the GOTA station may contact any other station, right, with a couple exceptions. The GOTA station may not work as parent station. So for example, if I am N2RJ, well, I am N2RJ, I cannot, that's a good question. Okay, that's a good point. Thank you, Brian. I'm going to put you on volunteer duty too, okay? Yeah. You're it. Okay. Right. So, you know, if you have may not work the parent station, you may not contact any station that is operated by a person who was involved with the group's field day operation. So if somebody operates and then they go home, you cannot work them. And the important thing is, if you're contacting DX stations, you must abide by third-party traffic rules. What does that mean? So the third-party traffic. So let's say you contact a station in, I don't know, like Lithuania or something. I don't know I think Lithuania doesn't have third-party with us. Or you contact a station in Canada, right? If you have an unlicensed person talking to the station in Canada, that's okay because we have a third-party agreement with Canada. But we do not have one with Lithuania. So it would be illegal for an unlicensed person to either send a message or speak into the microphone. Even if it's something as simple, I'm dead serious about this. As someone says, tell my friend in Lithuania that it's a nice day, right? Or the weather is nice. You can't do that. You can't send third-party messages. And these agreements are actually determined by the U.S. State Department, you know? So, yeah. What's considered a generally inactive licensee? So, the GOTA station is not for anyone, right? So, somebody who holds a general or higher license and has been inactive, and this is basically a case-by-case basis. So, the intent is to give an opportunity for people who do not normally experience ham radio. You have to send a list of the operators too, okay? If you're a member of 2 clubs, you can operate both. Actually, yes, you can. You can operate. I've done that. I've operated. Let's see here, right? So if you're a novice, you can operate GOTA. How do you calculate the bonus points? There's a scoring fact. You can do that, okay? Okay. Yeah, you do have to log both. Okay. So that's the GOTA station. Other bonus points you can copy. There's a bulletin being sent by W1AW, and you can then receive that. You send a message to your section manager, a traffic message. This could be as simple as sending them a message on WinLink, okay? The message must leave your field day site via RF, okay? It can't leave it via email like over the internet. It must leave your site via amateur radio. So if you have WinLink, and these days WinLink is as easy as getting the software and putting it on your computer and operating that way. I believe it even operates on Raspberry Pi now. You don't have to buy an expensive SCS Dragon modem anymore. That's like what, $1,500, $1,800? No. You just get the software and you send it to them. You can check into a traffic net and send it on a traffic net. Okay, that's another way. Sometimes the section manager is on a local repeater. You can send it to him or her on a local repeater. So many ways, many ways. So yeah. Put you on volunteer duty. Okay. How are you doing, N5QJ? I know you. Say hi. I wonder where Rick Roderick's operating field day this year. Right? So anyway. The GOTA scoring fact. Okay. No, the control operator, safety officer. This is an important one, right? So there's usually a checklist. You have a 100-point bonus. Qualified persons, and then let's see, safety officers, fuel for the generator's property stored. So that means you have the jerry cans or whatever far away from the exhaust. Yeah, because sparks fly out that exhaust. Okay, you don't have it near where people are smoking too, right? The smoking ape. Okay, he's not around tonight, is he? But anyway, fire extinguisher, important. They're cheap. You buy one from Home Depot or wherever, and you keep it on hand. Or Costco sells them, right? First aid kit. I have tons of first aid kits, and I've had lots of training in that too. How does the safety officer work in an EOC? Well, the safety officer goes through a checklist, right? And then there is a safety checklist that they go through. Access to National Weather Service alerts. So basically, if you have lightning coming, you want to make sure your safety officer knows that. Tent stakes properly installed and marked. Temporary antennas properly secured and marked, which means that a lot of people put like fluorescent tape on them, or they put up signs. Site secured from tripping hazards. So you tape down cables, or you put shields over them, or you basically mark them. Grounding. Your station must be properly grounded. Access to means to contact police, fire, rescue if needed. Okay, yeah, meaning a charged cell phone, right? And the safety officer is a dedicated point of contact for public safety officials. So if the police or fire, something come there, you definitely need to do that. And it might help, of course, if if somebody's running an air conditioner on a lamp cord. I actually have a battery-powered air conditioner, the EcoFlow Wave, that I use, so that should be interesting. Right. There's the information flyer. I want to look just safety checklist, but and there's a ton of information here on the Field Day site. I can't cover it all tonight because I think, frankly, we're out of time. But Field Day login software. Finally. There are a bunch of choices. I use N1MM because I'm just familiar as a contester. fdinfo@awrl.org if you know of any others. But there's FDlog, there's N3FJP, there's N1MM Plus, there's Skookum Logger on Mac. I have Skookum Logger on Mac. It works well. QRU QSP, TRlog for Windows, Microlog by WA0H. And you can get a lot of field day supplies, posters and such like that. Some of these are PDFs, like your field day poster. You could print that out and put that at your site. the ARRL, they spend a good bit of efforts on designing these graphics and such like that. I'm not a fan of every year's logo. I like the one with the bus when they had the bus, but this one, I guess, is new. So I can't agree with and like everything. But anyway. All right, well, folks, we're plumb out of time. I might do a couple videos in the week concerning field day. But yeah. Yeah, Jonathan, yeah, that's correct. Don't go too crazy with safety, like if you, so this is my rule on extension cords, okay? If you have an extension cord, right, make sure it's not frayed. Make sure that you unplug it when you're done, because believe it or not, that's a rule in the National Electrical Code. That's only for temporary use. If you have stuff plugged in more than 30 days, it's considered permanent and it's in code violation. If possible, get a cord with a GFCI, okay? A ground fault circuit interrupter. What that will do is that will compare the live and the neutral, and then if there's an imbalance, it means that the current is probably going through you to ground, okay? It's probably shocking somebody, so it will trip, it'll pop. The downside to that is some of them trip with RF, but the newer ones generally don't. You're not looking for arc fault interrupter. You're looking for ground fault interrupter. Okay, GFCI, and but what I say is power your equipment on 12 volts DC. It's always good to do that. That's a lot safer. So that works well. All right, folks. Well, this has been another edition of Live with Ria. I'm going to try to post some field day tips during the week again, and I really appreciate all of you joining me here tonight. I know you have choices, and I'm glad you chose this one. Remember, a couple things. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. You're new and you love the content. And thank you for the moderators for helping out with spam. I know it got crazy in there a little bit. Also, I do have the radio show, Ria Shack Radio, on WTWW Shortwave 5085 every Saturday at 8 p.m. If you can listen live, that's okay. I usually throw it up on the podcast, rjaram.podbean.com. I have to actually go and get a paid subscription now because they're kind of like telling me, well, you're limited. So that's okay. It's cheap. I'll get that. And that one's ad-free. Okay, there are no ads on that one. The only thing I ask people to do is if you like it, share with a friend. Okay, and come and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that's that's what I do. That one's 100%. I don't make any money off of that. All right, I see my camera's battery is dying too. So, my friends, peace and 73s, and I'll see you around. And I hope you all have a great field day. And maybe we'll come tell your stories next time. So next time we're on, maybe we'll talk about that. I'm going up to Connecticut in the middle of July, so I might have to skip a show, but we'll see how that is. Again, thank you, my friends. Always enjoy it. Peace out. Oops, what's going on here? Okay.